Forward motion. That is our new series title. Just a question. Who thought that was a really cool video?
I made it.
Joel made it.
Joel was actually the runner in it.
Joel they actually put makeup on him, and that was Joel. Forward motion. A lot of things come to mind when we hear forward motion, and for me, I think of Dory from Finding Nemo. Forward motion. She's always wanting to move forward. So that's what I think of when I think of forward motion. But our new series, guys, is forward motion, and it's talking about our steps in our walk with Christ and how we're always moving forward. And so tonight, in preparation, I was thinking about, how are we going to start this series? How are we going to kick this off? And I thought about a cool relative story. And I was thinking about the moon. Who here has ever thought about going to the moon? A few people. Who thinks it would be cool to go to the moon? Yeah, what if NASA came to you and was like, I will pay you $1 million to go to the moon? Who would go? They can guarantee your safety. Who would not go? Guarantee your safety. Guarantee give you $1 million and guarantee your safety. Who would go to the moon? There's a few people that either are not paying attention or would not go. I'm confused. But guys, when I was a little kid, I used to dream about going to the moon. I don't know why the moon, or I used to think it was really cool because only a few people had ever done it. It's outer space, and what 8-year-old boy doesn't like outer space? One. Okay, you're wearing a zombie shirt, so. Anyway, outer space intrigued me. It still intrigues me today. It never ends. Everybody think about that for a second. Outer space never ends. There's not an end to it. I can walk down the road and this street is going to end. I can walk all the way through Orlando, and eventually Orlando is going to end. I can walk across America to Disneyland in Los Angeles, right? And eventually, guys, I'm going to reach the ocean. America ends. You can walk around the earth, and eventually you're going to get right back to where you started. But guys, outer space never ends. There is no end. There's no start. There's no end. You'll go forever. And to me, that is a really cool concept. And so when I was a kid, I used to build cardboard spaceships. Anybody else ever do that? A couple people, Hunter Wells. This is why I like it so much. Kind of like it. Cardboard spaceships. And me and my friends, we used to go to the moon every day after school out in my backyard. We'd go to the moon. And it wasn't actually the moon, but it was really cool to think about. And guys, I never have made it to the moon, for real. There's a lot of steps and a lot of preparation that goes into making it to the moon, and that's not something that I've ever done. Back in 1960, there was a guy who had the same dream. He had it before me, so I guess I was having the same dream he had. But he dreamed that we could get a man from planet Earth to the surface of the moon and back to planet Earth safely. And that was President John F. Kennedy. And what he did is he challenged NASA, National Aeronautical Space Association. They're in charge of space and figuring it out. He charged NASA with getting a man from planet Earth to the surface of the moon and back. And it took NASA a long time because NASA couldn't just pack an overnight bag, hop in a space shuttle, and go. It didn't work. It wouldn't work. In fact, it took NASA 11 tries, some of which ended in the death of people, some of which didn't really ever do anything or go anywhere. 11 tries before they ever succeeded in getting a man to the moon. But eventually, in 1969, a guy named Mr. Neal Armstrong was the first man ever to step foot on the moon, and this is what he saw.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Does anybody know what that means? We hear it all the time. Josh, what does it mean?
for an individual, it's only a small action, but as what it represents to society is much greater.
Exactly. Guys, Neil Armstrong took one step. That's all he did. And he became an icon. One small step for man. For this man right here, Neil Armstrong. That's a small step. But for mankind, it represents a whole lot of other things. It represents 11 other tries. The first try ended in 3 people dying. The spaceship exploded on the launch pad. 3 people died. It represented their sacrifice. It represented all the other 11 tries and the 9 years and the hard work that everybody put into it. That was just one step, but it was a step in reaching their goal. And there was a lot of steps that went into them accomplishing that. Neil Armstrong made it back. He is safe and sound. He was safe and sound. I think he passed away.
He's pretty old. Maybe he did.
I think he passed away. I might be wrong. He's old now. That was back in 1969.
Buzz Aldrin?
He's dead.
No, Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong. I think he's still living in Florida.
He still lives in Florida.
He's still in Florida.
We should go visit his house, take a field trip.
Yeah.
He's down. First man on the moon. That'd be awesome. But anyway, he's really old. He'll probably never go back to the moon. Not imagine. He died. We got the Google that. He died a year ago. Hey, everybody, bring him back in. We will not be taking a field trip to see Neil Armstrong. He passed away. But guys, you know, I would have loved to have just packed an overnight bag and gone. I'm sure NASA would have too. But guys, it took a lot of steps. It took a lot of work. It took stress. It took long nights, long days. It took sacrifice for them to make it. I want you guys in your rows or just with the people around you for just a minute to talk about an experience, something where you had a goal, something you wanted to achieve, that you couldn't just do it. It took steps. Maybe that's, you wanted to become the captain of your football team, or the captain of your cheer squad, or you wanted to, I don't know, lead a rally for something. You wanted to organize a 5K for something. Talk about in your groups for just a few minutes about something that you have done that took preparation. It took steps. And eventually, you got to stand at the end and look back at where you were and see that change. So y'all go ahead and take a few minutes. Everybody bring it back in. Everybody bring it back in. I know you're not all done. I know you're not all done, but you can share those. I'd love to hear those, some of those in the lobby afterwards if anybody wants to share. I was talking to my friend Yasmin up here, and she was telling me her story. And she was training for a singing competition. And so her goal was to win the week in the studio to perform. And I asked her, you know, what are the steps that it took for you to get that? And she had to learn songs. She had to learn the words. She had to learn dance routines. She had to practice every night. She had to sacrifice time out with her friends, time watching TV or doing any of the other things that she liked. And at the end, you succeeded. She won first place. So she didn't make it to the moon, but she succeeded in her goal. And she won a week in a pop studio to sing and perform there. And I think that that's awesome. And guys, as Christians, we all have a goal too. Some of us don't know it. Some of us do. The good news is I'm going to share it with you tonight. Our goal as Christians... Bless somebody. Bless you. Our goal as Christians, guys, is to become more Christ-like. To take on the image of God. The word Christian means little Christ. Imagine for me for a second, if we were in this room, and instead of Kenzie, I saw Jesus. And instead of Logan, I saw Jesus. Instead of Josh and Katie, I saw Jesus. Instead of Matt, I saw Jesus. Yeah. All over this room, Noel, Jesus. Mikey, Jesus. Hadley, Yasmin, Jesus. This room was full of Jesus. That's essentially what we're called to do. You're not going to ever look like a 30-year-old Middle Eastern guy. Probably. I mean, they have surgery and stuff if you want to. But that's not what it's asking. That's not what our mission and our goal is. Our mission, our goal is to take on the heart of Christ. For our lives to look like Christ. And so what I would see is when I look at Hunter, and I look at his life, and I see the things that he does, those look like Jesus. When I look at Olivia and Emily, I see Jesus. Not when I look at him. When I look at him, I see two twin girls. They're smiling all the time. But when I look at their lives and the things that they do and their interactions with others, I see Jesus. That's what our mission and our goal is. And a lot of times, guys, that's what we strive for, and we don't always know how do I do that? How do I make my life look like Jesus? How do I, Jesus gave up his life for us. He went and hung out with people who no one else accepted. He got the crazies over there. And that's our mission, guys. And that process, the process of becoming more Christ-like, is called sanctification. Now, sanctification is a big word. Who's heard that word before? Who can spell it?
Sanctification.
I don't care. I can't spell it either. So guys, sanctification. Whenever you hear the word sanctification, you should just think becoming Christ-like, becoming holy. That's what sanctification is. And sanctification isn't just a big step and you're there. Becoming Christ-like takes a long time. It's steps. Yasmin talked about the steps it took for her to achieve her goal. It took sacrifice. It took daily steps. The question is, how do we do that? NASA and myself, we couldn't pack a suitcase and go to the moon just overnight. It took NASA 9 years and a lot of money in order to achieve their goal. It took a long time. And they probably could have spent more time and done it better. But the point of that is they couldn't do it overnight. In the same way, none of us as Christians just wake up one day and all of a sudden we look just like Jesus. You didn't become a Christian. You didn't start get to know, go to camp. Who went to big stuff? Yeah. I love big stuff. We're going back. Yeah, we're going back, and I'm so pumped about it. I love big stuff. Right here for me. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is not about big stuff. But here's the deal, guys. You didn't go to big stuff, become a Christian, and then instantly look like Jesus. You didn't get baptized, get dunked under the water as Colby, and then come up Jesus. Like, all of a sudden, this is Jesus. Some kind of weird Christmas, David Blaine magic trick or something. That's not how it happens. It takes a lot of time. You're not going to wake up 40 years from now, married with kids and all the craziness, a 9-to-5 job that you're tired of, and all of a sudden look like Jesus one day. It takes a long time. It's a big process. I ran track in high school. Anybody in here ever run track? People? Cross country? Yeah? People ran cross country? Anybody ever run at all? For any reason? That's what I'm talking about. You can relate. You guys can relate. Everybody listen up. You guys can relate. If you've ever run before, you're about to relate perfectly with my story. I ran track in high school. One of the races that I hated the most but ran the most often was the 3,200 meter relay. Does anybody know how far that is?
That's far.
32 meters.
Anybody know how many miles that is?
3,200 steps.
It's 2 miles. 2 miles. 1,600 meters in a mile. 3,200 meters, or for some of us non-runners, that's 2 miles. And twice a week, I would have to run the 2 mile at our track meets. And I hated it. I hated running the 2 mile. But we didn't have anybody to do it. I ran cross country, and our cross country coach was also our distance track coach. And because I ran cross country, he made me run the 2 mile. And the thing is, guys, you line up, you're getting ready for the 2 mile. This guy was running hurdles. That's another thing I hated. But it doesn't matter what race you're running. Everybody in here raised their hand when I asked if you've run. If you've ever run a race, or I know in elementary school everybody has a field day. When you line up on the line, you have a goal. The finish line, the box of candy, the zombies behind you chasing you. I don't know what it is, but you have some sort of goal. You have some sort of goal. And you can't just jump and be there unless you long jump or triple jump. But we're talking about running, so that doesn't count. You can't just take a step and you're done. You line up, and the first thing you do is what? Sprint. What else? What's the first thing you do?
Get in your stance.
You take a step. You just take a step. And then what?
You go down.
Take another step.
Take another step. And another step. And another step. And then, guys, 2 miles, after taking step after step after step, doesn't seem like it's so long. What about when you get tired? 2 miles is 8 laps on a standard 400-meter track. So if you have a track at your high school, it's probably going to be about 8 laps for the race I'm talking about. 8 of them. Just nonstop. Same scenery. It's boring. It's obnoxious. I hate it. But it's what you do. 8 laps. It gets so boring. You're seeing the same people. It's all just black asphalt. Rubber if your school has got a lot of money. But guys, lap 3, lap 4, lap 5, you start cramping. And it hurts. You just quit? No, my coach would have killed me. He would have killed us. If we just gave up and quit, he would have killed us. We trained a long time, all season for the 2 miles. But guys, you get the cramp or your foot starts hurting, you wear a little spike, like really lightweight, not supportive shoes, and your feet hurt in them, to be honest. And your feet start hurting. You don't just quit. You keep taking steps. Or maybe lap 5, you're like running around the track over and over and over and over. And you're like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just running in circles, literally. I'm not making it anywhere. You just keep taking steps, guys, and eventually you hear the gun, you see the green flag, which means you have 1 lap left. And it's the most exciting thing ever. But then you finish, you still have 1 more lap of this craziness. You finish that lap and the checker flag, and then you're done. And then you look back and you see the track, but then you think, I just did that 8 times. Now I'm tired, I'm worn out, I got cramps, my feet hurt, I feel sick, shouldn't have ate that for lunch. But guys, you did it. You accomplished your goal. And the way you did it is you didn't just jump. Nobody can just jump a 2 mile, I promise. The world record long jump is like 60-something feet.
That's
Oh,
how
wow.
60 feet? Yeah. What I mean was 60-something inches, like 63 or something. It's a lot, but that's not 2 miles. How many feet are in a mile? 5,280 times 2, so 10,560.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah. Graduated high school. But guys, 60 inches is not however many feet I just said. I'm not doing it again. That's a lot of feet. But you can't just jump it. You can't just sprint it real fast and you're done. It takes, anywhere between 11 and 15 minutes to run 2 miles, depending on how in shape you are. Maybe longer. Definitely no shorter. No one can run a 10-minute 2 mile. Well, say nobody. That's not true. Some people. Crazy people. But guys, it takes a step. 1 step to get started. And just like that, guys, I was talking earlier, you don't just wake up and all of a sudden you look like Jesus. You just don't. So it takes steps. And what are those steps? If everybody wants to grab a Bible, they should be on the table in the inside of your row. You want to pass that out? You can go ahead and open it up to Luke chapter 9. If you have one of the beautiful blues, it's page 563. I actually have 563. Luke chapter 9. Luke chapter 9. If you don't have a Bible or you're lazy, it is on the screen for you. Luke chapter 9. Everybody listen up. Luke chapter 9, verse 23. Jesus is talking to his disciples, and what he's telling them is exactly what we're talking about. He's telling them the steps it takes to be sanctified and to become more like him. He's telling them exactly what they have to do. Let's take a look in verse 23. And he said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses or forfeits himself? For whoever is ashamed of me and of my words, of him will the Son of Man be ashamed when he comes in his glory, in the glory of the Father and of the holy angels. But I tell you truly, there are some standing here who will not taste death till they see the kingdom of God. He said it right there, guys. Look back at verse 23. If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily. That's the key. Daily. And follow me. It says it right there. And then he says a whole bunch of other stuff. But guys, that right there is exactly what you have to do to take on the image of Christ. In our lives, there's a lot of things stopping us from doing that. Our nature and our desires are sinful. We have a sinful nature. We're born with it. That separates us from God. But guys, when we get to know Jesus, we have the opportunity to not be limited by that anymore. That no longer controls us. We have freedom in Christ. And then it's a decision. Then it's just simply our decision. Each day to wake up and follow Christ. There's a lot of stuff holding you back. The hurdles that the guy in the video in the beginning, he jumped over hurdles. Life throws a lot of hurdles our way. You got to get around them. And there's unnecessary hurdles in our life. Sometimes we just are holding on to some kind of desire. Maybe it's, I don't know what everyone in here is struggling with, but maybe it's laziness. Maybe you just don't want to get up 15 minutes early before school. I know you got to get up early. Maybe you don't want to wake up 15 minutes early. You want to hold on to that sleep. And instead, you sacrifice time with the creator of the universe for 15 minutes of sleep. That doesn't seem like a good trade-off to me. Guys, in order to get to know Christ, in order to become more like Christ, we have to get to know Christ. We have to figure out what he was like. There's a roadmap right here. This is like the biography of the guy. Everything you want to know about him, you'll find right here. How can you ever become something if you know nothing about it? If I want to be the best guitar player in the world, I can't just pick up a guitar and do it. What if I don't even know what a guitar is? I gotta study, I gotta know, I gotta learn. If I want to become a scientist at NASA, first I should probably get a degree in working in what I'm going to work in. I can't just walk in, put on a lab coat, and type in some stuff in a computer and go to the moon. It doesn't work. I have to know what I'm becoming. Guys, you got to know Jesus in order to become like him. So maybe it's your laziness. Yeah, I'm calling somebody out. Maybe it's your laziness that's preventing you from it. Maybe it's your busy life. We have a lot of busyness going on. Who in here plays sports? Yeah, some people. Who in here is a part of a club at school? Who in here has friends that they like to hang out with? Who has family you like to hang out with? Who here has schoolwork you got to do? Who in here has a job? Who in here goes to church? Who in here babysits every now and then? Who in here spends time with their family? Who in here likes alone time? Who in here likes to sleep? Guys, look at how busy we are. Maybe it's your busyness that's getting in the way of you knowing Jesus more. Now, I'm not saying doing stuff is bad. I love playing sports and hanging out with my friends and sleeping. Absolutely, I love it. I've got to work. Got to pay the bills. But if I let that get in the way of knowing Christ, I'm never going to be sanctified. I'm never going to take on his image. It's just not going to happen. It's not possible. I'm not spending time with him. It's the same thing with you guys. He says, whoever, can you throw that verse back up on the screen for me? He said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily. Guys, I know a lot of people that every 3 weeks they crack open the Bible and they spend some time in it and they expect a lot of life change. I know a lot of people, and the truth of it is, guys, is they're never going to make it to the moon. What if NASA had worked on that project one day a year? Think of all those days. What if they had worked on that project one day a month? We probably still would not be on the moon. Those guys would have died, and the next people would have had to start all over. It's just the truth of it. If you want to do something, you want to become something, and you want to learn something, you got to do it over and over and over again. That's how you become sanctified. Guys, a lot of times, we think it's going to be a cakewalk. We think it's going to be easy. I talked earlier about our desires that hang on to us. You got to let them go. It says, you must deny yourself. You got to deny yourself. Get rid of those desires. Pick up your cross and follow me daily. Now I want you to talk amongst yourselves with the groups you're in or your friends sitting next to you. And the next question is a little bit deeper. And I don't want you to just spurt off surface answers. Guys, if you want to get to know Jesus, you want to become sanctified, you want to become more like Him, you carry His image, take this question seriously. Really think about it. Really process it and discuss it with the people around you. What are some things in your life that Christ is asking you to lay down so that you can take on more of His image? I'll repeat it one more time. I apologize I don't have it on the screen. What are some of the things in your life that Christ is asking you to lay down so that you can take on more of His image? Take some time to talk about it right now.
Wait a minute.
Guys, during that time, Noelle actually asked a really great question. She asked, "Oh, can I sacrifice homework? I'm busy, so can I sacrifice homework?" Guys, that's a legitimate question. A lot of us would love to sacrifice homework. Who would love to sacrifice homework? Me too. Guys, there are some things, everybody listen up. There are some things that are your responsibilities that you've got to take care of. School, homework, a job that works. You got stuff to pay for. I got car insurance, phone, rent. Gotta make those payments. Can't sacrifice work. You know, Noelle was talking about she loves to play sports. She doesn't want to sacrifice her sports. You cannot sacrifice homework. That's a responsibility that you have. So guys, sometimes you gotta sacrifice the fun stuff. You know, the stuff that you gotta sacrifice one night out a week of hanging out with your friends, or your sleep, or you know the time you spend just chilling, or on Instagram, or Facebook. We spend a lot of time on social media, guys. That time, you know, we talked about in our last series, that's a great time you can spend with God. So, unfortunately, you can't just give up the bad stuff, you know, stuff you hate, and like, oh, awesome. That's not really sacrificing anything. Christ calls us to deny ourselves, pick up our cross daily, and follow Him. That means sacrifice. It just does. Great question, Noelle. A lot of times, who here has ever felt discouraged in your walk with Christ? Like you just feel like you're down, you're not getting anywhere. A few hands. I know what that feeling is. I've felt that before. That's really common. You know, you go to camp. We went to camp in June. Went to camp in June. Raise your hand again if you went with us. You had a great time. Keep your hand up. Let me hear a woohoo if you had a great time. Camps are awesome. And what happens a lot of times is you go to camp and you get what we call a camp high. Who knows what I'm talking about when I say camp high? Like you come off camp and you're ready to start ministry. You come back, you're ready to start ministry. You can lead all the music on drive-by. I mean, I've done it. Then the summer finishes out. You go back to school. And it's October now, and the camp high is wearing off. Guys, big stuff's not till June. How are we going to make it? We are. And I'm telling you how. You are going to make it. But it takes sacrifice. It takes daily you getting up. Maybe you get up early. Maybe you stay up late at night. I can't tell you when that time is. but you make the sacrifices in order to spend time with God. And guys, this isn't like a boring thing to do. This guy, the guy who inspired the writing of this, created the universe. You know, I was talking about space and how it never ends, ever, ever, ever. This guy created that. Just saying. He also died and came back into life. He turned water into wine. He took a couple fish and a couple loaves of bread and fed 5,000 men. That's not even counting the women and children that he fed. With just a couple fish and bread. This guy does miracles. This guy is an incredibly exciting guy. And a lot of times, guys, you know, we get down and we feel like we're not going anywhere. But just like in the 3,200 meter relay, you look back at where you were. If you're running and, you know, like, if you lay out two miles in a straight line and you're running and you're 1,600 meters into it and you just look back, you know, you're feeling tired and discouraged, like, I'm not going anywhere. And you just take a glimpse back. You've gone a mile. You've gone 60. You feel like you haven't gone anywhere and you can't go anywhere else. You're just going to be stuck here forever. Look at where you've already come. And that's always an encouragement. That helps you get back up on the horse and continue on. Guys, there's a reward in daily picking up your cross and following Jesus. When you do that, each day, it's like taking a step. It's taking a step. Just like in the 2 mile, you take steps to reach your goal. Each day, you take a step. Each day you die to yourself, follow Christ, and eventually you're going to look back and say, wow, I've come a long, long way. I'm not the person I used to be. I still got a ways to go. Sanctification is a lifelong process. It's not something you achieve overnight. It's not something you achieve in 10 years. It's something you do every day. A little more each day. At the end, you know, halfway down the line, you look back, you've come a long way. At the end of your life, you look back, and you've come a really long way. That's the encouragement, guys. We have that at our fingertips. The ability to take on Christ, His image, each day, become more like Him, and change the world. Just imagine that picture of a bunch of little Jesuses running around the place. That would be awesome! That would be so fun! And guys, we have that opportunity and that ability. It's in your hands. Let's pray real fast. Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you for each and every student in this room. God, thank you for sanctification and what it means and what it brings and the opportunity it is for us to take on your image and become more like you. God, thank you so much for sending Jesus to die on the cross for us. Thank you for His life and everything He means to us. Thank you so much, Father. Amen.
Amen.